That's right. It is Good Morning Football, everybody. Welcome in Wednesday after Super Bowl 60. Jamie Manti, Mike G, and Kyle. Guys, great to see you in New York City, specifically Mike Garafolo. We only had John for a cup of coffee last week when we were all in San Francisco. How was your Super Bowl week on the Team Insider?
Great. I thought San Francisco did a great job. I think some folks were a little perturbed about some of the logistics, but those were the folks that had to go from Santa Clara to San Francisco. We were, thankfully, the insiders pretty much the entire week staying in the city of San Francisco. You could walk everywhere. It was great. Did a great job, Bay Area.
I would be more concerned if people weren't perturbed with logistics. You know, that's just like a very American thing to do at this point when it comes, right, Kyle? Like, you just shake your head. Like, why must people complain about the up and the down? Like, it is what it is.
It's just, it has the same energy of the person who's like, hey, such and such airline, nice job with flight 539. I'm delayed. I'm just like, why are you putting that out there? Why just keep that to yourself? No one cares. And by the way, the combine's coming up. It's all in your beautiful, beloved Indianapolis, where it's all central and you can get your coffee and it's all everything you want. All right, so just everything. Help is coming. Stop tweeting about that stuff. All right?
Yeah, just for any future guests, we cross-reference those who shout out airlines in not a good way on social media. And like, you won't be invited on GMFB. Like, we have a standard here, and that's what we like to keep. Don't do that. Flight 539, you'll get to where you need to go. All right, something we're not perturbed about is the fact that we get to look at the free agent list that is available to us come mid-March here in 2026. Last year, little did we know that one of the domino quarterbacks in Sam Darnold, once he was available from the Minnesota Vikings, became a signature free agent signing. The Seahawks, of course, moved on from Geno Smith, traded him away to the Raiders, and they proceeded to sign Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal worth just over $100 million, money in which he very much earned back for the organization and himself over this season. On Sunday, of course, led the Seahawks to a Super Bowl win. So here are the pending 2026 free agents going into this year. You got Rodgers, Daniel Jones, George Pickens, Mike Evans, Trey Anderson, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, just to name a few. Here comes the question, as we also look at the Seahawks, who have a few names that are going to walk the parade route today and then immediately call their agent and say, where am I going and how much am I making? This was last year. This is how they built the roster. Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, and DeMarcus Lawrence. Moving forward, though, the Super Bowl MVP and Kenneth Walker III, Reek Woolen, and Rashid Shaheed are 3 names that are going to hit free agency. So here's the question. Which team becomes an off-season away from taking that next step towards building a Super Bowl roster the way we didn't know it until now? The Seahawks did last off-season, Manti.
Well, it's exactly a step that the Houston Texans need to make. It's not a hop. It's not a skip. It's just a little step. With the defense that you have over there in Houston, you just need an offense that won't lose you the game. You don't even need an offense that's going to win you the game. There's so many times that we saw last year, especially in the postseason, that it was a defense that kept giving you opportunities. Not only giving you opportunities, but was saving you from bad opportunities. When you have a defense like what DeMeco Ryans has over there, you need an offense that just gets the job done and doesn't mess it up. And so, if there's one team, guys, that I think is just one offseason away, just one free agency signing away, it's the Houston Texans. Like, you have the greatest gift. There are 2 teams that had a Super Bowl winning defense. One team won the Super Bowl, and the other team was this team. You just need an offense. Have a run game. Have a play-action pass game. The offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, he comes from the Sean McVay tree. They know how to run offenses. Help C.J. Stroud get to take that next step. We're talking about steps. Help C.J. Stroud take that next step in his career, settle the young man, and hopefully things will look better for the Houston Texans, because what they had in that defense, Mike G, it was special.
They were absolutely special. I thought Matt Burke did a great job as a defensive coordinator. He was my #1 vote for Assistant Coach of the Year. Wasn't even a finalist. Thought that was one of the bigger mistakes there. But I'm looking at the Los Angeles Chargers because, speaking of voting, Sam Monson, who gave Justin Herbert the 1 first-place vote for MVP, I think he's still going on social media, defending himself, defending his vote right there.
Go ahead.
But the reason behind that and the thought process behind that, he got one of my 5 votes, by the way, was because he was basically running for his life every single play behind an offensive line that was without the 2 tackles that the hope and expectation is will be back this upcoming season and fully healthy. So it's not like you've got to make an addition there. Just getting those guys back is going to be two enormous, literally, additions to the offensive line. But how about up the middle? Because this is Bradley Bozeman at the center, caught a lot of heat. Mekhi Becton was not quite the addition that they thought he was going to be coming over from the Eagles. Let's fortify that wall in front of Justin Herbert. Let's get ourselves, if we can, Chargers, a center that can move, sort of like Aaron Brewer could do when Mike McDaniel was with the Miami Dolphins. That allows him to do some of those things there. But I don't want Justin Herbert having to drop back and think, by the time I'm at the bottom, at the top of my drop, I got to worry about avoiding a rusher. You do that, and I guarantee you this team is going to be super competitive. They also need to add to the trenches on the other side of the ball as well. But just get that offensive line right, and this team, in my mind, is an absolute contender.
I think it's interesting that you guys both pick AFC teams because we're coming off a Super Bowl in which the starting quarterback for the AFC representative did not play well and the AFC team did not play well. And it's like we got all this wealth in the AFC and all this talent and all these coaches, and that was the best that we could do? Yeah, it was. But I'm going to pick the AFC team that wasn't even close to the playoffs. In fact, only won 6 games last year. I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, and here we go. Joe Burrow gets injured again last year. Can he be healthy this year? Who the hell only knows? But I just feel like if this next season is going to be the payback season, allegedly, for the Burrow and Allens and Lamars, if you get in, if you win this thing, if you actually have a team on the field for Cincinnati that can reel off a real quality, healthy season for once, they have the number 10 pick. That's what you get when you lose a bunch of games, and you just look at the defense. Please just pick some kind of stud. I don't care if it's a pass rusher, a safety, a corner. The fact of the matter is the 2025 Bengals had Joe Flacco start a game, score 42 points at home, and lose. That should never, ever happen. Imagine Flacco in that game. They lost to the Bears. Puts up 42 off the bench, and they still lost at home. The Bengals are in this position where Joe Burrow is giving these cryptic sound bites about how happy he is, how happy he isn't. What does it mean? What does it not mean? What it means is Joe Burrow was once in a Super Bowl that he lost just by 1 or 2 plays, and the thought was, oh, he'll be back. Joe Burrow, we'll see. I don't know if that's true. I talk about this all the time. I hate that take. Drake may never even sniff another Super Bowl. You know it, and I know it. Joe Burrow may never sniff another Super Bowl. They only get so many whacks at the piñata with these quarterbacks. Him, Josh, Lamar, they're going to exit their prime at some point. It's just they're not going to be the same player. Is this the year? And, Mike, I know you and the insiders have talked a lot about the Bengals last week or so.
Yeah, we have. Trey Hendrickson was one of the guys I talked about on Sunday. I have not ruled out the possibility, and they haven't ruled out the possibility of still using the franchise tag on Trey Hendrickson. Could it be a potential tag and trade situation with him? Potentially. These are the conversations that are going to happen over the next week or two leading up to the scouting combine, and then probably after that, too, because at that point you can still apply the franchise tag. That is one of the big things I'm watching with this Bengals defense, which was not good early in the season. Sneakily, because they were already out of it, sneakily they got better as the season went along. And some of these guys got more reps, but particularly on the defensive side of the ball, because that was the huge question on this team coming in, and they started to get some experience with some of those guys in key roles on that side. If that defense continues the way that they did to end the season, this is a whole different Bengals team that we're talking about going into 2026.
Mike G, it wasn't until Kyle brought up Joe Burrow that I have to ask something, probably for own personal morbid curiosity, but also because we've said a lot of quarterback names today that have something to do with one team in the NFC North. The fact that the Vikings let Sam Darnold go last season, the fact that Daniel Jones spent a couple weeks with that franchise, the fact that we're constantly flirting with the fact that, ooh, what if Aaron Rodgers does do what Brett Favre did and goes to the Vikings? And then also, I don't know if it's just my phone and because I talk about the Vikings around it all the time, I feel like I've seen a couple of Photoshop jerseys of Joe Burrow in a Vikings jersey to be repaired up with Justin Jefferson. What are the Vikings doing in free agency, and what are you hearing right now in terms of their quarterback situation? Because it wasn't lost on anybody the fact that on Super Bowl Sunday, Sam Darnold said to Kurt Warner that his biggest impact in his quarterbacking career was Josh McCown, who's still on the staff there. So what's going on with that?
He is still on the staff, even though he had interest from a few other teams, including the New York Giants, to potentially be their offensive coordinator. But he is there, and he has done a great job with some of the quarterbacks that he has worked with, not so much with J.J. McCarthy, but the Vikings now have to come into this season different than last season. Last season, they had the option of bringing in some veteran guys, but they decided, we want J.J. McCarthy to have more of a clear runway. We don't want someone necessarily lurking over his shoulder, and I think that that's in large part what happened with Sam Darnold and why they moved on, or not moved on from him, but basically didn't make the push for him that Seattle wound up making for him. They are going to be interested in some veteran free agents. Now, this has changed over the last couple of weeks because they decided to move from Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. So now they've got a reboot here with Rob Brzezinski basically running the department leading up to free agency and the draft, and now have these conversations. So nothing has sort of been finalized, and you've got to see which of these free agents and trade partners is going to become available. You mentioned Joe Burrow. Ian talked about this on Sunday. Teams are going to make a run at Joe Burrow, make a run to see if the Bengals are willing to part with Joe Burrow. I don't know in the end that it is going to wind up happening. That's not the Bengals and not the team that you typically would want to see if you're looking to make this move, Kyle. But, yeah, their phone will be ringing for
Well, the Vikings are a very fun internet team in the sense that people who like to just throw crap against a wall or make Photoshops or whatever. So among the things, I'm seeing Rodgers to Minnesota, which I think maybe it's just people thirsty for the Favre trifecta again, and they want to have him be in the NFC North. I don't think that's going to happen because we'll talk about this later, but I personally think Rodgers is going to be in the Steelers next year. And then you see the other one that's real sappy and sweet, which is a Kirk Cousins return to Minnesota when he's done with Atlanta and he goes back there. That, to me, is wildly more possible than the Aaron Rodgers one. I just want to make sure, like, my take on Minnesota is, like, you stick to McCarthy. That thing is not done yet. And ask Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah right now where his job is because they moved on from Sam Darnold before it was done. You drafted J.J. He started about a half dozen games, it feels like. A lot of injuries. Like, don't even think about moving on from McCarthy yet. Don't do it again. If you want to bring in Kirk Cousins, the problem is that Kirk Cousins is almost definitely better than J.J. right now. Specifically, you put him back in that stadium with those receivers and that head coach. He's going to be better than J.J. McCarthy, and everyone in the locker room is going to know it. So you bring Kirk there to be a veteran. No. He'll be by far, I think, the best quarterback week one in the locker room. So that's a problem, too. I don't think you do that either because I think you're still trying to make J.J. work. It's still too new. So I don't think Rodgers, I don't think McCarthy, I don't think Cousins. I think McCarthy and veteran TBD.
I think you just have like a really specific window, though, with Justin Jefferson and keeping him happy with all the talent that he has.
Yeah.
But this is why we have all offseason, right? Mike Garafolo, real quick, a couple names that you want to touch on in free agency, big names, Max Crosby, Kyler Murray, before we attend to business that's happening in Seattle today.
Well, those two guys are not free agents. Those guys are potentially available via trade. Max Crosby, with Clint Kubiak being announced as the Raiders head coach yesterday, said he had a chance to have some coffee with Max Crosby and have a conversation with him, communication that's going to have to continue here. Look, all things equal, Max Crosby would be a Raider for life. And he has said that, and he has made that part clear. The problem is, these plays that he's making, I remember that one in particular, by the way, the Jaguars game. I mean, it's just like this Raiders team wasn't competing. It's a goal line stand, and he's jumping across and making a play in the backfield. I'm like, Max Crosby deserves so much
Story of his life, right?
Than this. So Crosby's going to have to decide, can we win with Clint Kubiak, potentially with Fernando Mendoza, and can we do it quickly? Because I don't have much time left. Crosby's not going to talk about this stuff publicly. We'll see how it goes privately. As for Kyler Murray, we talked about this with the insiders on Sunday, that the likelihood is that the Arizona Cardinals are going to move on from Kyler Murray. Ideally, you're going to trade him, but, man, there's going to have to be some kind of magic work to get out from under this money that you've got. I mean, $30+ million guaranteed with another trigger. I forget what the number is in 2027 that triggers here.
I also wonder what the market is for Kyler right now. It's kind of, I don't know.
That's the problem.
I don't know what it is.
And whether it's Kyler or whether it's Tua, who's another guy that
I don't know what that is either.
Here, you're going to have to take on some of this money if you think you're going to get something decent back in a return, or you just move on and say, just like the Broncos a couple of years ago, we're going to eat this money this upcoming season to avoid the trigger the following year and realize that this is going to maybe keep us back for a year and then work on from that. It is a tough situation, but we're watching Kyler, we're watching Tua to see if those teams can potentially get out from some of these tough deals.
The current world we live in of instant gratification is every other team is going to be looking for how they can turn a Sam Darnold contract into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And that's how we're going to operate under free agency here, because that man is going to hoist the Lombardi today at Seattle amongst everybody else within that Seahawks organization. Live look, I believe, at Lumen Field. This is where the Seahawks will begin their parade route. 10 a.m. Pacific at Lumen Field, they will have a trophy presentation. The parade will then start at 11 a.m. Local, it's about a 2-mile-long route. It will wrap around 1 p.m. near the Seattle City Center, the entertainment hub, and up to 1 million fans are expected to attend. Congratulations once again to the Seahawks, and I'm sure we will see footage from that something will go viral. Someone's going to drop a trophy or something like that. You're going to be seeing a duck boat crash or something like that. Coming up, a Wednesday staple here that we will not move on from on Good Morning Football. It's Whiteboard Wednesday. We're going to look at some most memorable moments from the Seahawks season, Kyle. But I don't want to give too much away because I know you like to be blindsided by the questions.
Yeah, we au natural is how we do it here. Plus, if I said the number 394, would you know what it stands for? 394. We're playing a round of Name That Number next.